Hi everyone. For those of you that are familiar with our YouTube episodes, we've made every effort to try and post one a week. We were scheduled to shoot one last Sunday, but unfortunately Saturday night into Sunday we were vandalized, we were ransacked, and we were looted. It's been a very difficult week, not just because of the looting, but emotionally I think the world is on edge. I don't want this event to detract from the peaceful protesters and the message that they're conveying. It's really important. So for those of you in the United States that haven't filled out the census, please do so, and please vote. This is a very serious time, a turning point, tipping point for us. We are going to try and get back into our regular schedule of posting one episode a week, and this week we'll be doing an episode on the costume designer Adrian. Hi everyone, me again. If you caught our last short video, I made reference to the fact that the reason why we didn't post an episode last week was because we were looted. I forgot to mention how grateful I am that we've done these videos and photographs of my collection, because sadly all of the Joseph of Hollywood pieces were stolen, all of the Miriam Haskell pieces were stolen, and that's just to mention a couple of things that were grabbed in a group. But the good news is that we had put aside these Adrians in preparation for what would have been last week's episode, but is now the episode that we're doing, and they didn't grab these guys. For those of you that are lovers of old films from the 30s and 40s, you're familiar with the name Adrian. His full name was Gilbert Adrian, and he was in the 30s, 40s, and even 50s the most important costume designer. A lot of other designers have names that have tremendous recognition, like Edith Head and Irene, but Adrian is known for the clothing and costumes that he made for like Jean Harlow, Betty Davis, and if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, you're familiar with Adrian's costumes as well. One of the favorite films that people like to reference Adrian is The Women, because it was shot in black and white until they do this marvelous fashion show, which all of a sudden becomes color. On a personal note, when I was living in San Francisco, I became acquainted with a gentleman who is somewhat controversial, Joseph Sims. I have no idea where he is to this date, but he was a teacher in Pennsylvania, and he had a fascination with Adrian. He would go around the country and interview the women that sold Adrian in department stores, find out who their clients were, and approach them and ask them to donate pieces to a collection that he was starting with the intent of opening a museum. That museum never came to be. Why he's controversial is, I believe the garments were donated. His collection exceeded over 400 pieces. Some of them were movie. He had actually the tailoring book, which had the measurements of all the famous movie stars from the 30s and 40s. And I can't remember how many years ago it was, he approached me and asked me if I would help him sell the collection. Alaia committed to purchasing it, not because of me, but because of a guy in New York named Gene London. And he committed to it in 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So 2/3 of that Adrian collection was sold to Alaia. So this beautiful gingham dress, he was known for using gingham a lot, does not have an Adrian label. But the tailoring on it is so spectacular. You have to see the bustle on this thing. And even like the diagonal bound buttonholes, everything about this dress is spectacular. The gussets on the hip, I mean, of all the pieces I have of Adrian, or allegedly Adrian, this is my favorite one. We have what is a Spanish-inspired Adrian with a tiered ruffled jacket, and it's cotton. Most of these things are either rayon crepe or cotton. And then this beautiful draped rayon crepe dress. He was known for his tailoring. Oh, and I have to tell you, when I first started in the business, those of you that are just getting started in the business, you'll love this. The first Adrian I bought was a strapless gown, and I thought the label said Sherian. I had no idea it was an Adrian. You'll see when you see a close-up of the label, it's kind of hard to read. So you might be missing gold out there. This rayon crepe dress is fantastic because it not only has beads, but it has gold leather appliques. And the swag on it is pretty typical for the time period. This two-piece ensemble with the iridescent glass beadwork to create a large paisley. Actually, it looks like a peacock tail back here. And then last but not least, this piece where he inlaid the diagonal purple. He was known for his tailoring. He worked for MGM, and over the course of 13 years, he designed for over 200 films. So talk about prolific. Greta Garbo, Norma Shearer, Jeanette MacDonald, Jean Harlow, Katharine Hepburn, and Joan Crawford were amongst the people he designed for. He did 9 Harlow films. He also designed for the stage, for Broadway. And in 1941, he left the film industry and started his own line in Beverly Hills. He collaborated with a fabric weaver designer named Paula Stout, who did stripes and plaids. And the way Adrian was able to manipulate the designs so that the lines matched, couture work, really, really fabulous. So you can tell if an Adrian has been messed with because the lines won't match. So you think of other designers like Irene, Ori Kelly, Walter Plunkett, Travis Banton, big designers from the golden age of Hollywood. A little bit later, we had clothing designers like Chanel and Givenchy get into designing for film as well. So the confluence of costume designers and fashion designers is something that still, is happening to this day. When costume designers enter the world of fashion design, they're often not accepted graciously. But Adrian won numerous awards for his fantastic abilities. In 1945, he won the American Fashion Critics Award, also known as the Coty Awards. And if you think about how the 80s does the 40s, he, to this day, inspires designers like Donna Karan. I mean, his pieces will be repeated pretty much throughout the course of history because they're classic, they're flattering, and timeless. So in closing, if you like what you've seen, please subscribe for future episodes. We have quite a few up right now. If you want to place any comments about things that you hope to see in the future, keep in mind that we decide whether or not we're going to do an episode by how much material we have. We like to feed the fire, and we hope we inspired you. So until next time, be safe, be healthy, and don't forget to register to vote.